Hi, I'm Mathias de MEYER. I work for Brussels Mobilité, which is the administration in charge of mobility and transport in the Brussels capital region. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the conference today. I hope, however, that my online presentation will contribute usefully to your reflections surrounding the working policies. As announced in the program, I will briefly present the different measures that we have put in place in Brussels in favor of pedestrians. More precisely, I will present how the pedestrian mode has been integrated in our region mobility plan, which is called the Good Move plan. Before presenting the measures of the Good Move plan as such, it is important to underscore that walking lies in fact at the core of the city vision that underpins it. Walking is indeed inextricably tied up to the concept of a 15-minute city that we try to implement in Brussels. Walking contributes to make our city greener, more social, more economically resilient, and so on. But I don't think it's necessary to develop these different aspects here in front of a convinced public. I only want to underscore here as an introduction that the city project that gives structure to the Good Move plan involves walking as the primary mode of transport. In this perspective, the Good Move plan has set the objective of reaching a modal split of more than 50% for walking by 2030 against 37% today. But how will we reach this target? Which measures of the Good Move plan will make Brussels more pedestrian-friendly? The Good Move plan provides for a coherent set of pro-pedestrian measures at all the levels of our mobility policies, at the level of the network and mobility services, the planning of the neighborhoods, awareness campaigns in favor of walking, support to pedestrian associations, and last but not least, a regulatory framework that prioritizes the pedestrian mode. Let's have a look now at some of the actions that have been taken at these different levels. Let's start with the dimension of the networks. A first measure, fundamental but often missing in mobility plans in Europe, consisted in making a map of the pedestrian network ranked in 3 categories. First, the pedestrian plus routes. Those are streets and squares that are the most frequented by pedestrians and need therefore to have a high quality standard. Then the pedestrian comfort routes, which connect pedestrian plus routes. And finally, the pedestrian neighborhood routes. This map is an integral part of the Good Move plan and has the same regulatory way as the bicycle, the public transport, and the automobile network. This map makes it possible to adapt the required design standard as width of the sidewalk or the type of pavement according to the importance of the considered route. We are pleased to see that the voluntary sector has widely adopted this tool when discussing with public space designers. The associations defending the rights of pedestrians and disabled people often refer to the hierarchy of the pedestrian network to support their demands. A second action consists in providing for a densely connected pedestrian network. We know indeed that winning a few dozens or a few hundred meters can make a big difference for pedestrians It can make a journey by foot more interesting than by car or by public transport. In this perspective, we try to provide for a densely connected pedestrian network with the construction of new pedestrian and bicycle bridges over the canal that crosses Brussels, as well as over the many railway tracks that crisscross our region. And here you have an example of a pedestrian bridge that was inaugurated last year. A third network-related action in favor of pedestrians that we have integrated in our region mobility plan is inspired by the city of Strasbourg in France. It consists in creating pedestrian connectors. Those are long, legible, enjoyable and comfortable walking itineraries connecting the city center to important points of attractions lying a bit farther from the center, and these pedestrian connectors should incite pedestrians to walk for longer distances. The first pedestrian connector we are nowadays working on links La Bourse in the city center, more precisely in the pedestrian zone in the center of Brussels, to the De Broeckere Square, then to the Rogier Square, fourth to the North Station, and finally to the site of Tour et Taxi, which is nowadays in full development. Let's have a look now at the mobility services. In fact, the first service that the city should provide for pedestrians is the quality of the pavement. And the quality of the pavement is indeed an important issue in Brussels because our sidewalks are covered with more than 150 different types of pavements, and some of them pose important problems in terms of comfort and accessibility. To address this issue, it appeared necessary to objectify the comfort of the pavements. The Brussels Capital Region therefore developed, with the Belgian Road Research Centre, an equipment assessing the quality of use of pavements by measuring their grip and flatness. Based on this equipment, minimum levels of quality of use have been defined and made compulsory for all new projects. In addition to installing accessible pavements, we also provide for wide enough sidewalks, and we install level crossings with polotactile paving stones and so on, in compliance with our pedestrian accessibility guidelines. We also integrated specifically pedestrian categories in our Fix My Street app, which enables citizens to report problems they encounter when walking around. Through this publicly available application, everyone can report an inaccessible crossing or a damaged pavement, and maintenance services can thus intervene according to the demands of the public. Let's discuss now how the planning of the neighborhoods contributes to making Brussels more pedestrian-friendly. One of the most structuring measures of the Good Move plan consists in creating more than 50 quieter neighborhoods by the end of the decade. The goal is to redirect the transit traffic to the main roads and rehabilitate the public spaces in the neighborhoods in favor of the active modes of transport. The first zones have been implemented this year, and many others will be implemented soon. By reducing the traffic in the neighborhoods, this measure will make the journeys by foot safer and more enjoyable. In the same spirit, on the 1st of January 2021, the Brussels Capital Region introduced a general speed limit of 30 km per hour in all its residential areas. As the quieter neighborhoods, this measure directly impacts the car drivers, but for the benefits of pedestrians and cyclists. Let's now say a few words on the partnerships that the Brussels Capital Region is striking in order to reinforce the voices of pedestrians. First, pedestrian associations take part in the Regional Mobility Commission, which is an official body giving advice on important mobility policies. Second, contrary to cyclists, until recently pedestrians were not represented by an organization advocating specifically for their needs. In order to correct this situation, the Brussels Capital Region supported the setting up of such an organization, Walk Brussels. In addition to improving the quality of sidewalks and enhancing the safety of pedestrians, it is also important to reassert the value of walking in the eyes of the inhabitants of Brussels. Therefore, the Brussels Capital Region regularly launches promotion campaigns for the public, as well as ad hoc activation campaigns. We may cite here the campaign Feet, launched in May 2021. Drawing on the marketing codes of big American brands, this campaign presents our feet as a unique technology inspired from the past but developed for the future.
Vrijheid. Het is de weg naar het geluk. Elke stap drijft ons vooruit. Het is die vrijheid waar we jarenlang naar gezocht hebben.
We've spent years looking for an alternative mode of transport for short distances.
En dat hebben we eindelijk gevonden. Met trots stellen we voor: je voeten. Een unieke technologie, geïnspireerd door het verleden, herdacht voor de toekomst.
Бидэд автомашин, автобус, скутер гэх мэтээс илүү үр дүнтэй тээврийн хэлбэрийг хайж байсан.
Feet have 26 bones. The first metatarsal bone is the strongest.
Lokaal product. 100% natuurlijk, 24 uur op 24 beschikbaar.
There are absolutely no limits. I can use them whenever I like.
Feet are so intuitive. Honestly, I feel like I've known the product since I was born.
2 vergrendelingsmethodes en overal herlaadbaar.
Feet have been tested in different situations, even in the most extreme conditions.
Ontdek je voeten. Nu verkrijgbaar, onderaan je enkels.
In order to support the set of measures promoting the pedestrian mode, the Good Move Plan ratified in its regulatory framework the STOP principle. This principle stands in Dutch respectively for walking, cycling, public transport and private cars. This order of priority between the different modes of transport must be respected when designing the different networks as well as the public spaces and more generally in all aspects of the mobility policies. To conclude, I want to say or to underscore that making Brussels more pedestrian-friendly is a long-term challenge. We cannot correct half a century of mobility policies centered on the car with a snap of the fingers. However, I strongly believe that thanks to the coherent set of measures that I have just presented, and many more in the Good Move plan, we are heading in the right direction. This was it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I really hope this contribution from Brussels will be helpful to your reflections around working policies. Thank you once more. Goodbye.